wasn't a relentless job. It was usually a half hour of a lot of activity, followed by some quiet time. I spent that time reading, but also thinking. I wondered what life would be like alone. You know, particularly if it was going to be weird socializing. How would I feel being on the third wheel at a dinner, or the single guy with a group? I actually gave serious consideration to monetizing the Bay Area house and moving to some community somewhere, you know, a fresh start. But over the ensuing 2 months, there was such an outpouring of help, friendship, and love that I realized what a ridiculous idea that was, that what I had couldn't be replicated in a lifetime. So what happened? In less than 2 years, the entire process has been repeated. The meals, the rides, and the friendships. When I got sick in January, I had a blockage which caused all sorts of strange symptoms, among them anorexia. Food just didn't taste right. Didn't have much of an appetite, and some things I usually liked were pretty much unappealing. As soon as that was fixed, I had a ravenous appetite, and my sense of taste gradually returned. My friend Mark Yo called me shortly after the procedure and asked if he could bring breakfast. Anyway, Mark thought Egg McMuffins were good. They're not. They're fantastic. After about 20 minutes, I noticed, Mark, there's a bag still on the table. You know, is there another one in there? Anyway, I devoured it, and there were subsequent deliveries, but that one really sort of stood out for me. So being the AP history professor, my next thought is on another well-known professor, or tutor, if you will. This in Voltaire's satirical novel, Candide, and his name was Dr. Pangloss. So this book was a biting retort to a positive philosophical movement at the time called positivism, developed by several thinkers, including this mathematician, Leibniz. Great mathematician, lousy philosopher. So really the essence of this is positivism is really at the moment, at the time of our existence, we live in the best of all possible worlds. Rather than just say bullshit, Candide embarked on a series of misadventures in which he was subjected to a series of horrors, terrible things, and eventually reached the conclusion that perhaps Pangloss wasn't correct. My favorite, the one that reflects his satirical wit, is when Candide arrived in Lisbon just for the time of the great earthquake of 1765, a real event. Anyway, the city was leveled and the survivors wandered the streets. So a small group, realizing the thousands were buried under all the destruction, looked across the rubble and saw the cathedral was still standing, a place of refuge, at least back in that day. They agreed and they needed to go there and give thanks to God for sparing their lives. God is good. So the small contingent grew as they approached the cathedral, and just as they entered, knelt down to give thanks, there was a massive aftershock and the cathedral collapsed on top of the pilgrims. That's probably not, that's very satirical, if you will. Anyway, since the resolution of the blockage I had in February, I really hadn't had much physical pain, lots of fatigue, which comes with its challenges. The pain I have is more existential. During most of last year, I lived a fairly normal life, multiple distractions, but without those over the past few months, I must admit I've experienced more grief over losing Joellen than all the prior time put together. But the other pain can be explained in a remarkable quote from the Danish theologian and existential philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, who once said, "The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you're never going to have." It's true, because until a short time ago, I thought there was a lot of wine to drink with my boys, great meals to be had, and great conversations with all of you. More mountains to ski, more great golf courses to play, interesting places to see, more people to help or mentor, another Warriors championship, or maybe even if we're really lucky, a 49er Super Bowl win. A walk down the aisle, or maybe even a baby to hold. I remember it well. When you're going through life, there are those times it may not feel like everything's so great. You know, you're dealing with a sick child, loss of a parent, your daily commute, getting the kids back to school and back, problems at work, middle school, for your own kids, prepping for soccer and games. But as I sift through the boxes of photos, it was really easy to see how good it was, how much fun there's been, how many experiences we've all had, and all the interesting places we saw, friends we made, and the love we shared. I've truly had a sharp life. Thanks for being here. I think it's time for the God Moms.
Well, that's hard to follow. Oh, yikes. Even though that's not the first time I've heard it.